All right, let's kickstart the show by putting the spotlight on a climate tech startup which helps offset greenhouse gas emissions. Varaha, they've recently raised $8.7 million in a part of their latest funding round, which has Japan's largest institutional investor participating. Madhur Jain is the co-founder and CEO, now joining in on the show to discuss the long-term prospects as well as what this fundraise really means. Good to have you on board, and it must be a real stamp of approval with Japan's largest institutional investor participating in this round. Tell us a little bit more about what this really pegs the valuation at, if you can, and of course, what you'll be using the funds for.
Thanks, Avanne, for doing this with us. So I won't be able to talk about the valuation as such at this point in time, but I'm happy to chat about the use of money. So there are three different ways in which we are going to utilize this financing. So the first one is that being a science and tech company, which is expanding across multiple geographies into multiple product streams to capture carbon and remove carbon from the atmosphere. We need to double down on the talent pipeline for the tech team, the analytics team, as well as for science. So we'll be doing quite a bit of hiring in this department. The second part is that beyond the countries that we are operating in as of today, which is India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Kenya, there are at least 8 more countries on our radar for the next 12 to 18 months to do the business development activities in terms of expansion into these geographies and setting our operations up. So that's the second one. And then the third major activity wherein the funds are going to be utilized. So as of today, in terms of carbon removal, we work across regenerative agriculture, agroforestry, and biochar. But now we are starting to look at other upcoming approaches of removing carbon from the atmosphere, such as enhanced rock weathering as well. So building teams for these new product lines and executing on the ground. So these are the three main areas wherein the financing is going to be utilized going ahead from here.
So how exactly does the operational efficiency come in? You're working with farmers, you're overseeing over 700,000 acres of projects across Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Kenya. How does it work?
So in terms of how the operational efficiency comes in and how we are able to operate at large scale. So our operation in terms of educating the farmers, also in terms of getting the interventions done on the ground, which can remove atmospheric carbon, plus also reduce the emissions which are happening in the process, is that we find high quality partners on the ground. And so these partners can come in 3 different categories. So one is farmer cooperatives, who've been working with the farmers on the ground to deliver different services and products. The second category is NGOs, with a mandate focusing upon sustainable agriculture. And then the third part is agri-businesses, again, who are working on agri-output side to procure sustainably grown and much more efficiently grown food produced from the farmers. And so we basically amplify our business and efforts by training these partners and their staff on which are the different interventions which can help reduce emissions and remove carbon from the atmosphere. And these partners, along with our team, work along with the farmers to execute different practices, which can give us the desired result.
Sure. And what exactly are your long-term plans in India? Which are the corporates that you're currently in talks with?
So, I mean, we are already working with more than 100 and at this point in time, we are working with 103 partners across 4 countries, out of which 70 odd are there in India already. And so we are working, for example, with the likes of IPL Biologicals, which is a sustainable input company, through whom we are trying to deliver sustainable inputs to the farmers and also being able to reduce the emissions. So in the similar lines, we are looking at several, I won't be able to name them because these are not signed yet, but you can think of them in the line of sustainable agri-input companies, agri-output companies which procure sustainably grown food produced from the farmers. That's the second category. The third category is micro-irrigation companies. So companies which are helping reduce water use on the farms through micro-irrigation equipments and in turn helping reduce methane emissions, which happens as a result of it. So I can basically name down these segments that we are working in, not the companies at this point in time.
Okay, fair enough. But given that your company really looks to, make the most of the top-notch technology, remote sensing, blockchain, science-based quantification, what have you, how are you looking to really stay at the forefront of developing technology?
So, Avni, in terms of tech and science, which is utilized to measure in a high integrity, credible fashion as to how much carbon is being reduced or sequestered as a result of our interventions. So it comes in the following form. So, for example, if a farmer is doing a sustainable practice on their farm, right? So suppose they are moving from flooding the rice fields to directly seeding the rice within the farm and reducing the water use during that intervention. Now, given we have 160 million hectares in India, 130 million farmers, you can't go to every single farm and validate. So you need to have robust monitoring mechanisms which are tech-enabled to be able to do that. So that is one area wherein we are able to develop machine learning based algorithms using satellite data and ground truthing data for each of the practice, through which we are able to build these models and validate farmer practices. So that's one. Similarly, in case of agroforestry interventions, for example, if trees are being planted on the ground, so technology, satellite imagery, and again training data from the grounds helps you make models which can help you sort of know when the trees were planted, in what numbers they were planted on which farm. And so the estimation that you're doing for biomass and hence the sequestration which is happening as a result of it is captured in a credible fashion and using a data infrastructure which is verifiable by the carbon credit buyers. And hence, so these are some of the ways in which we are able to utilize tech. On the science front, to build these models, you need to have credible data in place as a company. And hence, we put up glass chamber based experiments on the ground which can capture gas fluxes being emitted under different circumstances. We use different mechanisms to also collect and analyze soil samples from the ground. So these are some of the areas wherein we use science-based interventions as well to be able to collect credible data to model carbon credits as a result of it.
Okay, and any sense in terms of the kind of carbon credits you're targeting over the next few years? Are you profitable currently? What kind of revenue run rate do you enjoy?
As a business, if you see, as I mentioned, it's a tech and science business at the core of it, with extensive operations. So if you look at the last 2 years of our existence, it has gone into sort of collecting the data sets to build these technological solutions, science-based platforms, which can help you monitor, validate, and report how much carbon is being sequestered and reduced as a result of it. And given our carbon credits come from nature-based solutions such as tree planting, farmer practice change, and cropping systems. So you need to go through the entire nature cycle first. So the farmer does the practice for 2 seasons. Then you run entire models, you quantify. There is an external audit which is conducted by the body which governs the carbon credit issuance. And so the cycle of carbon credit is 2 to 2.5 years in nature. And hence, we are not profitable yet. But given it's a data product, buyers across Europe, US, UK have been able to validate the data, our models, and the scientific capabilities that we have built. And they have entered into a significant sized contracts with us to buy these carbon credits once they are issued. So we expect to be cash flow positive in the coming financial year and in 18 to 24 months EBITDA positive, but not at this point in time. But we have gained significant traction in terms of number of farmers that we work with, the number of lands that we work with, the technological platform advancement, and locking in significant value contracts against the carbon credits.
Well, appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining in, and lots of steps being taken in order to make this world a better and a greener planet.